Warning, the following video contains disturbing content, gore, and suicide. If you are sensitive to any of the topics that I mentioned, please click off the video. Otherwise, viewer discretion is advised. Horror games, a genre of games that are made in really dark, spooky places with the intention to scare the player. Dating simulators.
Hang up that computer call. Come over here and kiss me on my hot mouth. I'm feeling romantical.
Dating simulators intend the player to have the freedom to date any character they like and pursuing a romantical interest in them. Now, what happens if you combine both games together? Well, boom, you have Doki Doki Literature Club. Doki Doki Literature Club was a game that was released in September 22nd, 2017 to actually some really positive attention to the point where it got a remake in June 30th, 2021. And of course, shout out to Team Salvado for making this beautiful game. So before we start, make sure to like and to sub, hit the bell for notifications, and let's dive into the gameplay. When you start off, you're introduced with a title screen with these 4 girls, which we will learn their names later on in the game. So once you start in, you type in your username and we get introduced to our first character in the story, Sayori. Now apparently Sayori is like our friend or some sort of love interest that she actually wants us to join clubs because she really does care for us. Now, of course, us being the typical protagonist in these games, we tried to join the anime club, but eventually with some convincing, Sayori convinces us to join the literature club, which we get introduced to 3 other girls. Enter the literature club, we are introduced by these 3 girls, their names being Natsuki, Yuri, and Monika. And Monika is going to be a very important character later on. Each girl has their own personalities, Natsuki being the tsundere, Yuri being the shy and quiet one, and Monika apparently being the president, aka the confident leader, the pop leader girl. So really after this, it's just some average dating simulator stuff until we get to the end of the day, and apparently we're actually introduced with this poem minigame that we actually have to show to the girls later on the next day. Now, throughout the second day, everything else just seems pretty normal and pretty boring and all that, but however, there was an important event, which is actually basically the main plot of this game. There's a school festival that's coming up within this week, and apparently Sayori and Monika are having this conversation to think of ideas to make the literature club seem rather fun and interesting. Looking ahead through the talk of Sayori, now we actually get introduced to these really cool art pieces, and honestly you're gonna probably see them throughout the game, but I'm going to give credit. These are really beautiful, and it honestly gives more emotion and gives more substance, especially coming from a dating simulator. Sayori shows you her poem, and basically you go around to the other girls, Natsuki, Yuri, and Monika, show them your poem, they show them their poem, and pretty much this is like a summarization of this part. So thus that leads us to the other part, one after one poem minigame, of course. This next section, basically we go around and get prepared for the festival, and also you, Natsuki, Yuri, Monika, and Sayori all practice for the literature club for the school festival. Also, while in the middle of it, Monika says something rather really interesting. After that weirdly pieces of dialogue that Monika just said, everything else rather returns back to normal. Everybody starts reciting their poems, they start practicing average character stuff. But then when we come back to Sayori, she hits us with a question. Will we ever walk home with Yuri? And I feel like this may have a sign that she might be suffering something. It seems that Sayori has been acting a little weird, and we have been noticing this throughout ever since the last part of the previous day, that her usual cheery and happy attitude is not really there anymore. Well, it is, but she really doesn't want us to interact with her, just wants us to talk with the other girls. We also noticed that she has been a bit more distant from us ever since. And of course, Sayori actually does excuse herself to leave early this time, which is oddly weird. But of course, after having to go through the choice of choosing what girl to bring home for the project, we decided to bring Yuri back home. Now, after choosing Yuri, we go to Sayori's house to check and see if Sayori is doing fine. Now, while we're having our conversation with Sayori, it seems to reveal that Sayori actually has depression, and she's wondering on why does she keep waking up, why does she keep eating, and she thinks it would be the need to be better if she took herself out so that nobody would have to worry about her. Now, I'm going to say this here and put a little small rant. If you know anybody or anyone, or if you're experiencing depression, please talk to a loved one, or at least talk to someone that you know and trust. Depression is a really tough mental illness, and it's something that should not be really treated lightly. Life is tough, and it really does suck. It really does, but the grass is always greener on the other side. And it's still admirable, even if you guys have depression, that the fact that you guys are still up and alive and still trying to fight this. But please, just let yourself know that you're not alone. You always have help, people who are willing to help you, whether it be your loved ones, your friends, your teachers, your adults. And that's all I just really want to say because of this mention. Now, we're gonna move on to Yuri's part. So after talking to Sayori, we finally meet up with Yuri and we go to our house, which then we start doing our project. Now, everything else seems fine and normal and all that until we get a paper cut, which, you know, isn't really that bad, but for some reason Yuri decided to do some freaky ass shit and decided to lick the wound. And of course, we get a towel, touch Yuri's face, and things just get a little romantical in here. But aside from that, everything else is pretty much normal. We managed to finish the project and we go outside of our house again. After Yuri tries to get a bit romantical again, Sayori comes in and she seems to just, you know, check up on us, see if everything is pretty fine. Now, after once Yuri leaves, we decide to talk with Sayori for a bit, and we've been noticing her depression seemingly starting to get worse. So, you know, as the good friend that we are trying to be, we decide to hug Sayori, but even with that hug, she still questions that why she's not happy. And this is clearly another huge red flag, because after once this is over, she leaves again and we don't see her by the next day, which to where something rather disturbing happens. Next day, we finally meet up with Monica back again. It seems to be the day of the festival, but Monica seems to have a little talk, and she also mentions that after the little exchange that we have, she says something rather interesting. It'll be best to show you. Once Monica says that we kind of left her hanging, she also gives us a couple of poems that clearly tells that something was up. We basically had to run out of the freaking classroom and go to Sayori's house, wondering why are we so dumb. We could have just done a simple thing as checking her until this happens. just witnessed was only the ending to Act 1. That's right, this game has 3 acts, and from that point on forward, things just get worse and worse. So from everything that you just saw in that intro was just the introduction of Act 2. So basically in Act 2, this is where shit just kind of just stops fucking around. It already knows what type of game it is, and we obviously know that the dialogue is way different. Now that Sayori is dead, technically, and her file removed from the game, we basically talk with Monica, and also through the little glitches and stuff, like, it's not even trying to hide itself anymore. Now, we go to the literature club by Monica, and of course we see Natsuki and Yuri again. We're skipping through the same dialogue as Act 1, we also get this interesting bonus note, which this might have something to do with the lore, since I don't really know what the hell the first one means, but for any of you guys who know the Doki Doki Literature Club lore, please put this down below the comments, and I would love to read them. Now, one poem minigame later, and we're back with Yuri. Time. And of course, they both have a common interest of manga. Now, one cool art piece later, we also kind of see something that the dialogue sounds bit off. The dialogue seems more blackened and would rather say things that are not supposed to be in the game, but yeah. And also, Natsuki says one interesting thing that generally caught me off guard when I was first recording this. My dad would beat the shit out of me if he found out about this. Which really makes me think, does this mean that Natsuki in some way has a sort of abusive dad? If you also think the fact that Natsuki is admitting that she has an abusive dad is really messed up, just wait until Natsuki goes to sleep. Now, after that weird moment, we just all share poems and pretend everything is normal. Not like her eyes and mouth were completely blacked the fuck out. Better from here? Well, you're wrong, buddy, because now, after that, Natsuki and Yuri seem to have a little argument, which, you see, instead of Act 1 of Sayori, interrupting and stopping the argument, things just get way worse from here. After that static part, Monica just pops out of nowhere. I thought she was going to jump scare us, I swear to God, by the way she popped up. But no, the whole entire time she actually just wants to talk with us outside of the classroom. So after that seemingly disturbing section, and us clearly aware that Monica isn't just another NPC in the confines of this game, she decides to talk with us and say how difficult it is being the president and stuff. The fact how she can never put her foot down despite the fact because she doesn't want to hurt hurt others. And right after Monika's conversation, we also notice Natsuki leave the room after Yuri actually talks with her, which, by the way, Monika says something really interesting, is that she's going to talk with Natsuki and make her forget permanently, which is another instance of the weird shit that's gonna be in this game. And after this, the day ends with a poem minigame, so we move on to the next day. Moving on to the next day, everything else seems normal as we're all at the closet and we were just talking to Yuri. We were trying to find Natsuki, and Natsuki seems to mysteriously forget about what just happened yesterday, which was, once again, very interesting, as Monika said she would forget about this completely. Now, a couple of weird dialogues later, and everything just seems quite normal. Well, of course, we spend a bit more time with Yuri, aka best girl. So after spending time with the best girl in the whole entire damn game, after skipping some pretty much irrelevant dialogue, we finally get to the interesting part, the poems. Now, after having, of course, typical Act 2 poems, having them either really weird or probably disturbing as shit, Monika says something interesting with her tip word of the day. After next, we talk to Natsuki, and basically everything after this shit just turns into a wildfire real fast. Absolute shit scare of a show, which was Natsuki, we finally get into the best girl again, Yuri. And of course, she loves our freaking project. Now, you know, she also seems to have a small crush on us, which honestly, I don't really mind. I would low-key take that shit any day. Now, excuse me from that. One Yuri dialogue later, and boom, we finally get another secret poem about Natsuki's father. After the poem, things seem to get a little red over here. Now, after that, everything just really seems to turn back to normal, and we talk to Yuri after a bit, after Natsuki kinda is just speaking straight fucking facts and decides to go home. Now, we also notice a little bit of weird other dialogue as we see this other Yuri. She seems to be only having a head. Her other eye is glitched and her eye seems to be bleeding, which we can clearly see slightly if you actually pay enough attention to detail. Now, after this, we go back to talking with Monika, and Monika tries to seem like, you know, that we're the only actual alive people, which is, I don't know, really hinted throughout quite pretty early within Act 2, before the poem minigame is back to quote-unquote normal, which I just mean the fucking thing is glitched. And also, if you choose some certain words, you can also see Monika's poem sprite just below the screen jump over there. So after from the weird ass poem minigame, everything seems to okay. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Yuri just clocks Natsuki for no fucking reason, to the point where Natsuki just cries and runs away. Which at this point, I actually do low-key feel bad for her. And then after that, Monika just wants to interact with us, but to Yuri's fucking surprise, no. And then with that, well, we were supposed to just be making some tea, but turns out the whole entire damn time, the moment when we catch up to Yuri, turns out that she has cuts in her arm. So, this happens. So after that, that rather pretty interesting moment, we are finally able to just sit down, have a snack, and enjoy reading with Yuri, which honestly comes with, if not one of my favorite art pieces in the game. This art piece looks like some shit from Wallpaper Engine. This shit looks so high quality. The fucking particles are moving. It just looks so fucking beautiful. And just look at her. Just beautiful in that artist's rendition. Now, I know I am glazing the absolute shit out of Yuri, but it's just honestly one of my favorite moments, and I'm just super sorry for the fucking glaze, but it's just beautiful, okay? I like the art. And also, alongside with that, Yuri just confesses the fact that her heart beats constantly around us, and it also just really gets to the point where she just looks at us with those hyper-realistic eyes, and I'm just like, what the absolute fuck? Again. Now, of course, we go to our poem section, blah blah blah, everything is quote unquote normal, and of course with Monica trying to break the fourth wall again, which apparently actually she fucking blue screens it. But if you do realize, there's something interesting in the background of the blue screen, which is a DDLC escape plan. Tsuki's poem, well, not really actually a poem, it's more of a note on how Yuri has been really acting weird, and the fact that Monica is just casually dismissing this. Now, before we can even get more of Natsuki saying anything, of course she gets fucking controlled by Monica and just saying that everything is going to be fine, and that we were too wonderful of a person, and that Natsuki and Yuri are too messed up. And of course, they hit us all by using every single goddamn GUI that just says just Monica. You know what's super funny of this? Because right after the part where they all just say just Monica, we just have the option to choose Yuri. And before she could just appreciate our love, she seems to love the poem rather a bit too much. Like, are you fucking joking, dog? Like, come on, man. It's just a fucking poem. And right after we get her poem, we just surely do hope that Yuri doesn't do that hyper-realistic eye bullshit. You gotta be fucking kidding me. One secret poem later, and we're right there to the girls arguing over who is gonna come home with us to help them with the festival bullshit. And I'm just going to probably get this over with. The following scene that you're about to see rather has broken my heart as a fellow glazer of Yuri. They're staying there for a week with Yuri's corpse. Natsuki returns back to be obviously disgusted by what the fuck she saw. She tries to run away, but Monica just pulls up and says, oh damn. Then proceeds to delete everybody, and then proceeds to rewrite the whole entire game so we can only talk to her and just her. And this is where we're introduced to Act 3, just Monica. And apparently I actually forgot to showcase the ending, so I will have this by someone else's footage. So once you talk with Monica, you can actually leave the game and go back to the game's fake OS system, where then you can go to files and then go to characters, then select Monica and you can delete her, and boom, she disappears. But of course, not before she has a conversation. She realizes that all of this was her fault because of her obsession of you, and decides to reboot the game without herself. But unfortunately, not all good things can always come true, because apparently Sayori is about to to pull a Monica until Monica herself decides to say, alright, you know what, that's enough. There's no way nobody can be happy, and absolutely deletes everybody, thus ending Doki Doki Literature Club.